Okay, this is a tool that we have developed using Visual Builder Cloud Service, and this is an application for performing disassembly or dekitting using a single click. This is an extremely powerful tool and lets you create applications using our REST services and other details, which we will see as we go along. Here on the landing page, and you can see the details of the organization, the DKIT work order number, the date, the product that you produced originally, the assembly serial number that you want to do the disassembly for the product, and then the original work order which produced the assembly and the assembly serial number. We are now going to start a disassembly. All you need to do is just enter the organization ID, the assembly serial number that you want to perform the disassembly. Enter a new DKIT work order, which is nothing but the transform work order that you want to create, and provide a date. Let's say you want to create the date for today, let's say around 9 a.m. You just enter that as the date for the DKIT work order, which is the transform work order. Just a single click now by pressing the disassemble serial button. The whole sequence of action is started. It's getting the details, it got the source work order details, it's got the material transaction details, it's created the DKIT work order or the transform work order, it's successfully got the assembly transaction detail, and it also has completed the negative issue transaction of all the components, which is nothing but having completed the disassembly in using the transform work order. So as you can see here, the latest work order that we just used is J1803. We are now going to review this work order in the application. So we are going to search for the work order 1803. So this is the work order. Let's just look at the work order details. So you know what is the item transform from, the transform to, and let's go to the operations. So this is a work order with a single operations, no predefined material or resources required, and you can see here that the necessary components have been issued. For example, the assembly, which was the transform from item, has been issued to this work order, and all the other components have been negative issued, which means they have been put back to inventory. So with a single click, you have now been able to perform a complete disassembly of all the components that were originally issued to the assembly. You have issued the assembly, which means that the assembly is no more in inventory and it is in WIP in this work order, and you have done a disassembly by negative issuing all the components. We will now review how the application has been built in Visual Builder Cloud Service. It's a very powerful application where you can create a series of actions using what is called as the action flow, right? And then you can create pages where you will see the page. This is the page that we entered the details. So you can create a page, call for an action, what by clicking a button does. You can create and show the action chain. In this we have done by calling a series of REST services, getting the work order details first, and then next is by getting the material transactions from inventory, and then we are now going to create a transform work order. So for transform work order, we also create a payload by assigning a variable, and nothing but when you go to the variable, you can just assign it from existing output of a REST service or from the page that you captured the detail, all visually and just by linking the fields that you need to pass for creating a work order or a REST service. And then we have gone ahead and then you get the assembly item details, and then we are issuing the assembly using a REST service to the work order, and then finally we are going ahead and negative issuing all the components that were originally issued to the assembly work order to this transform work order, thereby completing the disassembly or dekitting. You can create the REST services, multiple REST services. You can create variables. All this is a part of the Visual Builder Cloud Service and a great deal of actions under the action chain, where you can call a REST service, you can call a module function, you can insert a loop. You can also write a JavaScript, which is nothing but a small piece of code. In this example, the first small JavaScript is for getting the finder, which is nothing but getting the assembly. Another JavaScript to get the query parameter return or the queue parameter return for the getting the inventory transactions REST service. So Visual Builder Cloud Service is a very powerful tool where you can create your custom application end to end just visually by calling REST services and other actions.